We're talking to Ross. He's a strategist from Merrill Lynch in Tokyo, and he joins us from our studios there. Lou, thanks for joining us. Tell us first what market sentiment is like now in Tokyo.
Out the
putting on 187 points to finish at 19,702. Brokers said that bargain hunters were out in force after the Nikkei lost more than 1,000 points in recent days. Banks and some major construction stocks made big gains, with the banking sector's sub-index up 3.1%. Well, for more on Japanese stocks, we're talking to Ross. He's a strategist from Merrill Lynch in Tokyo, and he joins us from our studios there. Lou, thanks for joining us. Tell us first what market sentiment is like now in Tokyo.
I think right now they're just waiting for a little bit more positive reports to come out from the government concerning consumption, and they haven't seen them. There's not a lot of news that's going to be coming out this month, with the exception of next week's Tokyo retail stores figures, and then that should help the market to gauge consumption a little bit better.
Now, just staying with the consumption theme here, how much is consumer sentiment still being dampened by that hike in the consumption tax back in April?
Well, there's a lot of indicators that we've been looking at. For example, housing starts are still relatively very weak. You have an increase in inventories, auto inventories, which is probably due still to the lingering effects of that April consumption tax.
What about longer term, looking out, say, towards the end of the year? Do the prospects, both for the economic recovery and therefore the stock market, look any better?
I think the short to medium term, people are looking for more positive information, but definitely in the long term, especially at the beginning of next year, we're probably looking at much more positive sentiment coming from the market due to the fact that at that point, a lot of changes are going to occur, for example, concerning the Big Bang, the financial deregulation at the beginning of 1998, and that should help move the market to increase liquidity as well.
Now, just looking at which sectors are going to benefit, we mentioned today that the banking sector made a pretty strong showing. What sectors do look good in the market, and also what sectors are looking pretty weak?
Well, I think right now the blue chip electronics firms, because of the stability of the yen, right now it's fairly weak. These companies should see really strong, steady export earnings. The U.S. market's doing very well, and usually when the U.S. market does well, people correlate that with the export sector in Japan doing well, and that's the automobiles and electronics. Even though the automobile exports have done well, domestic demand for the auto firms have not been that good, as we talked about before, the increase in inventories and also the unexpected decline in domestic demand. But the electronics firms are doing very well, and they're positioning themselves in certain key sectors unexpectedly very well.
Now, a few months ago we were talking about the possibilities of an interest rate hike, which seems to be fading a little. What's your outlook for interest rates in Japan?
Well, we're expecting actually the interest rates won't be hiked probably to the beginning of next year. We're not looking for a hike this year. I know that the other day the Economic Planning Agency official made a statement saying that perhaps they should be hiked. The next day it was retracted. Clear indication that the economy hasn't recovered, and probably the government's concerned about that, so we expect them to wait.
Okay, just quickly, finally, are we really seeing investors now starting to move their money out of stocks and into the bond market in Japan?
I think so. You're starting to reach historic lows as far as the yield is concerned in the bond market, and you still don't have enough positive news, especially consumer-oriented news, to move the market in the right direction. You don't have enough domestic demand leading the recovery.
Okay, Lou, thanks very much indeed for joining us. And we've been speaking with Ross of Merrill Lynch from our Tokyo studio. Well, the stock market in Malaysia struggled to regain its